It take place in Remille's hideout. Can Sidekick would say, well, looks like we in a hideout, so what do you do now? Remielle say, now, Wise, use a towel. Use to dry yourself off. And Sidekick would say, no thanks, I could dry myself off. And Qingyi would say, oh no, you did it in your first movie, so I could clean your fur. And Sidekick would say, wait, what do you mean by that cleaning? Cissia would say, oh look, Qingyi clean sonickid fur, her favorite civilian. And Qingyi would push. Qingyi would say, that's not true, because it's got water. I don't want it to get even more wet. The Sidekick already got. And Sidekick would say, fine, Qingyi, you could clean me. And Remy would say, oh look, I'm not the only one who clean Wise. Qingyi will clean sonickid as well. Here's the towel, Wise. Use to dry yourself off. Remy would say, if you got a strength, you can take a hot shower too. There's a makeshift bathroom over there. The baby built it for me. Sidekick would say, wait, the baby already built it for you? Remy would say, yes. Sidekick, do you not hear what I said? Sidekick would say, yes, I heard you. Remy would say, okay, fine. If you don't want to move, I dry you off myself. Wise would say, why? Sidekick, Remielle, Qingyi, and Cissia would say, huh? Wise would say, why did you bring me here? Remielle would say, hey, should you think me here first, Mr. Soap to the Bone? Wise would say, thanks, Remielle. And I would say, so Wise, why is Airspace Patrol looking for you? I heard from what Cigar told me, you killed someone. I thought it was a theory for a second. But once I found out you killed by humans, I will say, why? Why you killed the humans? My job is to protect humanity against materials. But we need to find an answer if you did it or not. I will believe Cigar at first, but I want to hear your side of the story first. Wise would say, so, you did not know. Fine, I guess I tell you what happened. And Wise began to explain to me, Qingyi, and Cissia about what happened after we left. We took the amber halls. Sidekick would say, I knew something was off after we returned to the mansion. I thought Wise coming back, but nope, I guess I was right. Cissia would say, after we did Q&A test, Wise did not return home, so we will go and check. Remy would say, since you become so apparent, it is like you at all. Remy would say, if you really want to show your thanks, here, it's your turn. Remy would head over another crane tower as she speed. Wise would say, my turn? To do what? Remy would say, your turn to dry my wings for me. Of course, this spot I cannot reach my own. Sidekick would say, oh, I want to dry your wings. And Qingyi would say, oh no, Sonickid, I gotta dry your quills. And Sidekick would say, wait, what, Qingyi? Because your quills are wet. I gotta dry you off. And besides, I'm not gonna let you dry your own, just like you did in your movies. And Sidekick would say, come on, Qingyi, please. And Qingyi would say, nope. And Sidekick would say, hey, wait, it's Qingyi's but to dry sonickid quills. It's Qingyi's Cissia and Wise and Remielle and see a side of him. They know Sonickid's downfall started, and they know he wear his mask, but they never see another side of him. And Sonickid was blush, and Sonickid would say, Qingyi, you're cleaning my quills and my ears. Hey. Remielle would say, hey, what's with that look? I already dry you off. Now it's my turn. Now it's your turn to return the favor. Wise would say, okay. Wise would switch places with Remielle and sit behind her to dry off her wings. Remielle would say, you know, Wise, I never liked rainy days. Sidekick would say, wait, you don't like rainy days? Yes. Like you hate water. Sidekick would say, I don't hate water. Remielle would say, oh really now? We all know your identity was out, and I know you have a YouTube channel. And Sidekick would say, oh right, I forgot. Not only my identity was out, my YouTube channel as well. Remielle would say, yep. And I know you're Sonic yourself, so you hate water, like the real Sonic. And Remielle would say to Sonickid, so Sonickid, what do you think about Rabbit Bears and Hawkeye Style official Discord server? Why you not upset or complain about it, like you did in Twitter on Sales on Season Reborn? Sonickid would say, because I don't need to complain every bit. I was just used to it by now. I already know about the Beat Bear on that server way before the moderators did, because I talk about the moderator action. So, I was set on the timer how they found out about I couldn't get Bear on that server, and they did, but 8 o'clock. Qingyi would say, is it 24 hours, Sonickid? Sonickid would say, no, this is more than 24 hours. Cissia would say, wait, more than 24 hours? You were used to it? Sonickid said, yeah, like I said, my downfall started on the first server, and I'm not gonna explain the rest of the server I got banned to, so yeah. Let me tell his story to her friends. Sonickid would say, I have no idea. Qingyi would say, Remielle, why are you not a fairy yet? Remielle would say, because I have every reason to become a fairy, like Naruto. I know you're reference to that, Sonickid. Sonickid would say, yeah. Sonickid would say, so let me get this straight, Wise. You with your classmate, and then it works careful, you saw your classmate again. Wise would say, we talk about the past, and the way she spoke about it felt like she talked about someone else's wife. Sonic and everyone continued to talk until Sally, a commercial outside, heard baby footsteps and shouted echo through the area. Wise would say, huh? What's going on out there? Sonic would say, Genie, do you dry my fur yet? Genie would say, I already dry your fur. Wait, that fast? Genie would say, yes. And Genie would say, please put your gloves on and shoes before I get brushed even more, Sonickid. And Cissia would say, oh look, Genie was blushing. Genie would say, hey, Cissia, that's not true. I just wanted make Sonickid put on his gloves, that's all. And Sonickid put on his gloves on. He still kept his shoes on. Sonickid would say, alright. Remielle would say, I'm not sure. Let's find out. Sonickid say, agreed. I will do it in the next video, where we left off.